So we're on step 6A says predominant faction must be humans, so we're going to call it human, and then we're going to determine the muscle used by it. It's going to be 18, which is Vikings or barbarians. So Vikings/barbarians. So lawful human Vikings or barbarians that seem to be enmeshed in this chaotic hex here. It says Vikings used longships capable of being rowed or sailed through waterways. So I think we're going to go with Vikings, just continue with the canal theme. So they've got longships. So Vikings with longships, and that's how they have established their predominance. All right, the dice always tell the story properly. Trust the dice. Okay. And we're not doing humanoids because we've got humans here. Step 6C, certain. All right, so determine the muscle used by a predominant faction. So muscle by predominant faction is done. I don't know why I have the humanoid table here, so I'll just make a quick note. Humanoid table needs to move. Step 6C, certain troop types have subcategories that must be determined. Roll those now. Let's see, this was Vikings. They did not have a... This is if I would have rolled light foot, missile armed troops, heavy foot, armored foot, light horse, medium horse, or heavy horse. So that doesn't apply. And I think the humanoid table would have been referenced here, cross-referenced here. Maybe not. All right, mercenaries. Any kind of troops can be mercenaries. Decide if troops are raised within a territory or hired from outside. Mercenary leaders are often better armed and armored. So should these Vikings be mercenaries from outside the hex that have just recently established their dominance? I think we're going to go 50-50 on that. So yes is 1 to 3, no is 4 to 6. Yes, so these are mercs from outside this hex that have recently come in and busted some heads. All right. 6D. Many troops are suggested historical places and culture. The referee should feel free to borrow bits of mythology, history, dress, cuisine, etc. Bootstrap the campaign world. Well, that's easy enough, the Vikings. Those who may call this cultural appropriation are free to come up with entire cultures off the top of their heads, with no reference to real human history at all. That's what I feel about that. 6E. Predominant factions assumed to have a fortified camp or base of operations, though this table may be used for any faction. Let's roll 1d20. It says number 10, they're surrounded by moats. So their fortified base or camp is surrounded by moats. That makes sense as well. They've dug some moats around a high point somewhere. Fortification is assumed to be near an habitation unless it protects a band of outlaws or freebooters. Well, in this case, there are only 4 inhabitations. I'm going to say that the village is worth 3, just based on my knowledge of FFC. So we're going to, first fantasy campaign. So we're going to say 1 to 3 is the town, and then 4 to 6 are the various villages. It's going to be near the town. So this is near town. That again makes sense. All right. Determine the makeup of additional factions within the starting hex. First, determine which division, and then the composition of faction. Oh, so here we're handling factions 2 and 3. So faction 2 we've already determined is neutral. We've got a table here to roll on that goes up to, it's 2d10 minus 2. So 2d10 minus 2. I'll try not to confuse myself by using 10-sided, the 10s dices. So 4 minus 2 on the neutral table is going to be 2. So that's going to be faction number 2. That's a bunch of pixies that are neutral. And faction number 3 is going to be law, and that's going to be 13 minus 2 is 11 on the law table. Fortunately, that wasn't chaotic, otherwise we'd be dealing with Balrogs. So, humans. So these guys are human as well. I think this is where I need to move the humanoid table, maybe into step 7. All right. A hero, superhero, or wizard is assumed to be... Okay, so we didn't roll any of those. Magic weapon. We didn't roll a magic weapon. Factions made up one more than one monster. One of the creatures will be a leader. Factions human roll as if they were troops. C steps 6B, 6C, and 6C. BC. Okay, so we know what the sprites are, but now we're rolling for the humans. So 6B, going back to 6B. Determine the muscle. D20. So these lawful humans are crossbowmen. And missile-armed troops. They're not just generic missile-armed troops. Do we have generic missile-armed troops on here? We don't really have that. Oh, yeah, we do. Lightfoot references missile-armed troops, so that's taken care of. Okay. Yeah, and there's no special table for catapult, for, crossbowmen. So we've got a bunch of human crossbowmen that are that faction. So we've got that. 6D. Make sure we didn't miss something here. 6C would be specialized tables. 6D. And are they mercenaries or not? Since this square is a chaotic square and those guys are lawful, I think it's 50-50 again. Yes is 1 to 3. So yes, it's another group of mercenaries that are in the square. 6D. Yeah, I don't know what kind of culture, so I'm going to go at this point to the cultural table in the back, the oracular tables. And I want to figure out which one of these 16 cultures it's going to be. So 16, what would that be? I'm just going to roll a 20-sided dice, and if it comes up greater than 16, I'll re-roll. So 15. 15 on the culture table is Timor. So those are Timorian style. So they might have lighter crossbows. How are we doing on time? All right, let's flip back here to our campaign generation tables. So we've got that faction. Now we determine, or in step 8, determine characteristics of each faction leader. These are considered non-real players who are usually run by the referee or someone he designates if playing a Braunstein style campaign. The gender determined at random. The sexist way to do this by giving even chances. However, in a patriarchy or matriarchy, it's assumed that it's lopsided, so 5 and 6 dominant sexes in command. So with the Vikings, I think we're pretty sure that that's a patriarchal society traditionally. Same thing for the Timorians. So in both cases, probably going to be 5 and 6 chance. So unless I roll 6, these guys are male. So for the prominent faction, male, and for these other human faction, male. So leader number 1 is going to be male. Leader number 2 is going to be male. Or I'm sorry, leader 3 is male. And then even chances for sprites. And again, it comes up male. So because it was going to, no, female. Female, yeah, female is alphabetically before male. So yeah, male, male, male. 2 is male. Assuming a sprite has a gender, I have no idea. And now we've got to check out the age of the faction leader by rolling D6. So we're going to go with the predominant faction leader is 4. He's going to be middle-aged. Sprite, there goes my dice. Sprite is going to be number 5, which is old. It's an old sprite, tricksy kind of person. And 4, so that's going to be middle-aged for the crossbow, the Timorian guy. Middle age. All right. Motivation of each faction leader by consulting more and more of the oracular tables. Best results by doing a verb and a noun. All right. And an adjective if there's an object being sought. So verb and then noun for each of these guys. So let's go to our table with the verbs. 1 out of 295. For this, I might just have to use the internet proper. Yeah, so 295. So let's see, 1D 295 should get it. Roll a 1D295 die. 126. All right. 126 on the verb is going to be, oh, we got to do this a couple times. So let's do this for leader 1. So verb, noun. So verb, what did I say? 126. Oh my word. There's 167, I guess. We're going to go with 167 now. 167, so measures. And I need to do this 2 more times. So measures 196. 196 is pit. And again, this is a verb. That's the verb pit, not the noun pit. And 210. 210. Purchased. And again, all this stuff came from Chainmail version 3. All these words did. Now we need a noun for each of these. So 1 out of 264. Again, we're going to use the internet. So roll a 264-sided dice. So we got 160, 160, 46, 160, 46, and 255. Let's see what this turns out to be. 160 is movement. So measures movement. So that's the Viking leader. Measures movement. What's 46? And I guess the question would be where. Verb. So verb, no, noun 46. Noun 46 is circle. So pit, circle. So he pits something in the circle. So that would be the, oh, it's sprites. So this is kind of like a fairy circle. Well, they're not fairies, but they are sprites. Maybe they've got the same mythology. So they're pitting their circles against something. And then the last one is purchased and 255. Purchased wind. That could mean they went to a sorcerer. These crossbowmen have favorable wind because they purchased some kind of magic item or something. But back to the predominant faction, measures movement. I guess I'm going to say where. Where are they moving? So there's actually a where table that I've come up with here. It's 1d60. So we're going to go back to our internet site here. We're going to say roll a d60, which you could use playing cards for anything 52 and below. Oh, we got a 12 on this. Where? So number 12. From the muzzle. Measures distance. Measures movement from the muzzle. So these guys may have some tricks up their sleeve. They may have a cannons, arquebuses, or both. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to say 1, 2, or 3. So I actually have musketry in here too. But no, I'm sorry. I'm confusing Dragon's Beetle. So measures, movement, muzzle. So they're finishing their fortifications, and their muzzles are field guns, light field guns because they've got them on the ships, or arquebuses, or both. So, yep, light field guns. So they've got some light field guns up their sleeve. All right, so that's the faction leader. And the sprites are pitting their circle. I guess the question here is against whom? 1d34, there's a who table. So 1d34, 21. 21, a unit or creature. Well, we already know that they're up against, unit or creature. So unit, 1 to 3, creature, 4 to 6. Good grief. Well, it came up a 5. So they're actually pitting them against a creature. What creature? Well, there's an oracular table that's different than rolling a monster elsewhere. It's a 30 potential monsters here. So we're going to go with 30. Roll a d30. That's a 7. They're up against an Efreet. So pits their circle against an Efreet. So somewhere they've managed to get on the wrong side of an Efreet that's roaming around inside the central hex. Okay. And then the last one, purchased wind. I'm just going to assume that they've got some kind of A, wizard, or 2, magic item, because there is a control weather spell. So wizard is going to be, some kind of magic user, 1 to 3, 4 to 6, some kind of special magic item. And it is a wizard. So they've got some kind of wizard here. A wizard capable of controlling the weather, who often gives them favorable wind for their crossbow shots. Okay. And then lastly, we're moving back here to step 8 of campaign generation. Let's see, we got the gender, we got the age, we got the motivation for everything, and then we've got the makeup of any points of interest in the initial area. So step 9 and step 10 we've got. Step 11 is for at the end of the year when we determine aging and illness and stuff. So we've got only 2 more steps. So determine points of interest within the initial area. Some points of interest have an associated dungeon or cave complex. All right, generated as they explore the campaign world. Alternately, for every 100 square miles, roughly 3 6-mile hexes, roll 1d6. So that would be like half of these and then the other half. Makeup of any points of interest. Random generation points of interest. We're going to go with random generation points of interest. 1d6 and consulting the table below. If 6 is the result, roll until 2 results are obtained. The number of rooms, passages, and levels depending on... Okay, so we've got a point of interest in our main area here. We're going to do it this way. It's easier. We're going to go with number 5. So point of interest. Consult the following table. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I should have numbers here with points of interest. So numbers, points of interest. But number 5 is a farm. Not too exciting, except for the fact that a lot of this land is canals. So a farm. So we've got somewhere in the central hex here. And I guess I'll divide it into the central area and then the quadrants around it. So we're going to roll... Well, the central area is a lake, so it doesn't matter. So it's going to be in one of these directions. So what direction is this set of farms? Number 2. So it's off toward the hills up here, maybe snuggled between the lake and the hills. So somewhere in here, we've got a farm that's a point of interest. It has 6 buildings. The number of passages is 1d4 minus 1. These are 4-sided dice. So 3 minus 1 is 2 passages. So 2 passages. And the number of levels is 1 above ground. So somewhere in here, there's 2 passageways that we can treat like a dungeon. And yeah, that's it. We don't have to generate a battlefield at this time. And we do not have to use the alternate way of finding adventures. If we did, we would roll on this table twice using the alternate system. So, south is orange, northeast is white. So we would have no adventure to the south, and then 3, that would be 2 adventures. So there would be another adventure somewhere up to the northeast. So adventure indicated use the outdoor encounter matrix to pre-populate the site. Well, we've got an Efreet, so I'm going to say the Efreet. I'm going to just say the Efreet is somewhere off in that north, from north to east, somewhere in the north to northeast or east direction. He's somewhere out there. That's what the sprites know if the adventurers encounter the sprites. Okay, that's it. It's taken me about probably 30 minutes to set up an entire campaign. Here we go. On one final note, since we know it was an Efreet, and pretty sure Efreet falls in the chaotic category, yeah, I think his motivation is he used to be in control of these people, keep them in abject terror. He's from the ancient days, somehow got loose, established control, and then that wiped out all the people that were resisting him. But now the sprites have been working against him, and that's kind of tied him up. And so we've got these other mercenary forces that have been hired to come in and kind of, well, they've seen opportunity. They've seen opportunity. One of them, probably the Timorians, were hired, but the Vikings came in full force and were like, we're taking this thing over. Yeah, I think that's the setup I'm going with. Oh yeah, and since I already generated this map using my Arnisonian generation system based on reverse engineering Blackmore, yeah, this is the complex where the Efreet has his hangout. Not sure how deep it is, not sure where it is that he goes back to when he's recharging his batteries, not out and about and devastating people. But when they track down the Efreet, this is what they're going to go into.